Hi guys, so quick video just to kind of go over the different types of governments. I'm going to magnify to 100 to make this easier to read, otherwise it's way too small. Looking at this, these are the types of governments that we are going to kind of be focusing on, okay? Democracy, that is where we are going to be voting at we get to decide, who's going to be president, how our government's going to be ran. For specifically the U.S., if we don't like how something is going, we could go and vote and kind of change it up. Monarchy, this is your king and queen. This is what normal, growing up and, I'm going to be a princess kind of thing. Like this is what like all those fairy tales kind of mentality have. They usually have some type of monarchy in there, okay? The monarchy is super powerful. Sometimes they have to share their power with other nobles, other rich people. And this is like King Arthur, very typical of what we are somewhat used to, just because a lot of our history comes from England, who they used to have monarchies. A dictatorship is going to be a person who has complete political control. So they are going to choose what kind of government they're going to have. They are going to choose how a lot of things are going to be ran. And if anybody were to ever step up and say, hey, I want it differently, the dictator could, kill the person off or go throw them in jail, and no one could stop that from happening. Okay. Our present day example would be, I cannot pronounce his name, Kim Jong-un, I think, the guy from North Korea who's been kind of like hidden for a while. We haven't heard from him. So he would be a dictator. He's my age and has a lot of power and has killed a lot of people. So that always kind of boggles my mind that we're the same age. In a theocracy, that is going to be a group of people who are religious and they are going to control the government. So a lot of times you're going to see like the law, you can't kill someone. Well, it's not just that you can't kill someone because, that disrupts society. It's you cannot kill someone because God told us that you cannot kill someone. And so if you do, then you're a bad person and deserve to go to jail. Usually that word theo is tied to religion. Most like pastors, reverends, and priests have a master's in theology. And so every time you kind of see that theo, think of religion, okay? The Republic. The Republic is probably something that maybe you're a Star Wars fan and know about it, but we are a republic. The United States, we have representatives. Okay, so look at that REP in Republic. Okay, the REP, we have reps. So we are going to send people to Washington, D.C. to vote the way they think I would want them to vote. So we have a senator and we have a representative. I vote directly for them, and then they go to Washington, D.C., and then they vote on a whole bunch of stuff. Think of our election summative from last semester. We normal people do not vote directly for the president. We vote for the Electoral College, and then the elector goes to Washington, D.C., and actually votes. So that's a republic. It's one of the reasons why we have our two major political parties. One is the Republicans, and then the other ones are the Democrats. Well, together, we are a republic democratic government. So they come together. And then finally, we have totalitarianism. This is easily confused with a dictatorship. Okay, a dictatorship only focuses on your political life. Okay, so only on the government. A totalitarianism is going to focus on both your political life and your personal life. So we're actually going to jump to yesterday's thing. This one that talks about eugenics certification. So this says, and this is real, this really happened, Nazi Germany, right? They want for special humans to be born. So people would get this eugenics certification, and it would tell them, like, you have the blood that we want for our future races. So me having brown hair and brown eyes, I probably wouldn't get this, which means if I don't have this, that means I can't get married. If I can't get married, that means I can't have kids. So this certificate that the government's going to give me, like, now it's not just about my political life that they want to control. Now they want to control my personal life. Like, they're basically telling me whether or not I could have kids. So that is a great example of a totalitarianism government where they are going to have complete control over my personal life. And that is what Hitler did. Hitler used to give these out and says, oh, you have the bloodlines that we want. And like, you would get the certification and then you were allowed to get married. If you didn't have this, you weren't allowed to get married, like complete control. So if you are looking at that word, notice how it has total in the front because they had total control. So dictator, only political life. The other one is like personal life also, okay? We kind of talked a little about how I don't go directly to Washington, D.C. We send representatives. Democracy is Greek. That's one of the reasons why our White House, a lot of the Capitol in Austin, they look like they have the same architecture as what the Greeks did a long time ago, because we have that same, the idea of democracy. We kind of stole it from them. Divine right means when a king or queen is going to say that God gave them the power to be the king and queen, therefore you have to listen to everything they said. And then it turns into hey man, I am just trying to do what God told me to do. And if you go against me, you're going against God. And that's a big no-no. So like, this is really going to give the king and queen a lot of power until all of a sudden we get the king and queen to sign this Magna Carta, which is going to say that the Magna Carta, the king and queen are no powerful than normal people. Like, the king and queen also have to follow the laws. Okay, they're not above the law. They have to follow it just like everyone else. And this is like the first time that we start to see a king and queen, kind of, oh, you're not all powerful. Oh, you can't just come and punch me in the face, because that's against the law and it actually matters. 2 real world regimes. You could look at your notes for that. But one, like we kind of talked about already, is going to be Nazi Germany. Remember, they're going to control where you live, who you're going to marry, and things like that. The next one is a republic. And that's a huge difference. We are a republic. We send someone to the government so that they could have a say. I think that was supposed to be what's the difference between a dictatorship and a totalitarianism, but we're just going to go with what we have. And so a republic, right? I'm sending a representative and I'm going to have say. Our representatives here in the US, if they don't vote the way I want them to vote, in 2 years, I'm going to vote for somebody else. Okay, so that kind of keeps them from always trying to make sure that they are voting the way I want them to. Because as soon as they vote differently, I'm going to kick them out and I'm going to vote for someone else. A totalitarianism regime is going to be, again, like we've been talking about, complete control in my political life, complete control in my personal life. So they're going to tell me where to live. Think of the Jews. They were forced to live in the ghettos. And then just normal Germans, they had to get permission if they wanted to have kids. They couldn't just go and get married. They needed that permission from the government, which for us as Americans, that is just bonkers. Okay, so we went over this really quickly. If you have any questions, make sure you log into Zoom. Bye, guys.